everybody. My name is Paul Baker. I'm the Global Strategy Director for PowerLife Global Health, and I'm really delighted this evening to be chatting informally to Dr. Sebastian Nafrah, who is a PowerLife, what we call a PowerLife elder, man of immense experience in business and life, of course. And I'm going to be asking him a few questions about some of the key things that we are working on to break the chain of poverty. And there are three things here. There's the mindset, there's the element about working with quality people only, and there is about communication. So I'm really going to be asking Dr. Nafrah what his views are on these various things and how he's used them in his own life to achieve success. Good evening, Dr. Nafrah. Delighted. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be a great little session, and you're the first of what I call our four PowerLife elders who've got immense experience in putting these three key components of breaking the chains of poverty into action. So let's, without any further ado, kick off. Now, the first of these to break the chain of poverty is that poverty is a mindset. So how important is getting the mindset right to rise from poverty, to break out of the chains of poverty, and to achieve success in your view?
Thank you very much. I'm very glad you've asked this question because coming from a poverty-laden environment like Africa, I realized that the challenges that most are faced with is the issue of the mindset. I like what Bob Marley said some time ago, that emancipate yourself from mental slavery. That has become the bedrock of my life, realizing that I can be a king or a slave based on my mindset. I also realized that I could be successful or a massive or a colossal failure depending on my mindset. As a young entrepreneur, trying to influence people around me in Africa and talking to people in churches and other people in the investment community, I realized that anytime I spoke to people about the way they thought and the way they should think for them to be successful, I realized that their lives started changing gradually. I also saw it from young people who are now becoming young adults and are becoming successful from the same environments that poverty was laden. So mindset is everything. Mindset is the utter and mindset is the finisher.
Right. Lovely, thank you for that. That's very useful. Okay, so now we move on to next point, which is why is it so important to only work with quality people? And of course, the real enigma here, or the real puzzle here, is how can we identify people who are quality people rather than people who come across it but turn out to be fakes? What's the key to identifying these quality people to work with in the first place? And why should we work with only quality people? So perhaps you could give us your thoughts on that, Sebastian.
It's important to work with quality people because I realize that people exude energy. If you have people with the worst of mentality or negative mindset, they can serve as a drawback. In sociology, we call it dissonance. Being in a group and most people lost in the group effect, and for that matter, do not push the group forward. By this, I mean that working with quality people means you have people who have similar understanding, similar mindset, buying into an agenda and driving towards success. How do we get such quality people? It comes from identification and interaction. Anytime you interact with people, you can gauge their level of thoughts, whether they are optimists, pessimists, or just people lost in the ocean. As a good leader, is going to identify such people and see whether or not they are people who can be taught to change their attitudes for a positive turn, or they are people who are perpetually locked up in their existing mindset and they don't want to change. And that's the challenge that we have as a people in the world, in the global community. Some people are what I call, as it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be. What they knew before they became deaf is what remains for good. No matter the impartation and new knowledge that you bring to the fore, they are locked up in that. I call them ideologues. But to select quality people, You should look for people who are amenable to change, people who are teachable, and people who are learnable. And when you have those people to the fore, you can hold hands and together you will succeed. And as a company, as an organization, this should be our driving force. Selecting those people seems to be very difficult, but it can be easy. Every leader must open the two eyes and also the visionary eyes. If you know what you're looking for, you can get what you want.
It's a very good point. Somebody once said that a sponge eventually becomes fossilized, and a sponge can soak up water, but a fossil can't. And I think the nub of what you're saying is, let's look for those pre-fossilized sponges, those ones that are still able to absorb information, absorb training, absorb ideas, rather than people who've gone past. Because I think everybody potentially is a sponge, but some people get fossilized very early in their lives, don't they? They become unable to absorb anything else, very fixed, very solid in their outlook. So thank you for that. That's really, really useful. Okay, so the third and final part, and I think you're going to pose us something similar, is about communication. You know, as I think it's something in Proverbs that says, better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt, because when we open our mouths, when we speak, we reveal who we are. So how important is communication to you, and how important do you think it is to our organization, Power Life, of course, as we're talking about, and how do you define good communication? So please let me have your thoughts on that, Sebastian.
Communication, like you alluded to, is very critical. You can make or unmake a whole community or a society by virtue of the way you communicate. An idea could be lofty, an idea could be good, an idea could be destiny changing. But if it's not well communicated to a group of people, it will not effect the desired change. So communication is cardinal, is basic, is fundamental. And communication should go beyond the word. It should be good communication. Good communication is appropriate information disseminated by an individual to a group of people to meet a particular aim and to achieve the best of results. So in marketing a product, for example, let's say Profit, which is a flagship policy or product of Power Life. I love it because for every man, you are defined by your potency. Potency in terms of finance, potency in terms of intellectual capacity, and potency in the bedroom. So if you have a product like Profit and you need to market it, what factors are you going to adduce aside the natural tenets of the product for people to accept it, to become a product that will be a part of the way of life of the individual? Here we have communication and effective communication to get that result. I remember when I first got the Profit and I met a group of politicians and I told them about it. I started like this. Of all your achievements and of all your laureates, instead of becoming a tilapia in the bedroom, you become a jellyfish. And they all looked at me, gazed with surprise. What is this man driving at? And I said, well, I discovered something that is transforming me gradually from a jellyfish into a tilapia. That attention that I got from them became the base for my marketing a product that is gaining some good value in the lives of individuals, changing their sexual health and also changing their general body psyche. So marketing is everything, but communicating and effective marketing is most crucial. So I want to say that this same thing that I did with these political fellas, and they bought into the Profit, and the approach I used was perfect. I got the result and I'm still getting the result. However, in meeting another group of people who may not be as learned, who may not be as educated, who may not be middle class or upper class, will I use the same method? I dare say no. I may start with something else that will meet their needs and aspirations. So communication is the beginning and is the end of any result-oriented personality. The way you speak is the way you are judged. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's a very good point, isn't it? Because, I mean, for example, where you take a product like Profit, and because of the sensitivity surrounding the subject in which it's addressing, one has to bring perhaps a little bit of humour, gentle humour to it, so that people don't take it too seriously and are happy to discuss it. But then when you take something like, say, Protect, which helps with Helio pylori bacteria, which is a very serious thing and can cause colon cancer, you can address the whole thing in a much more measured, much more serious way. But if you start talking about impotence and all the rest of it, you know, hey, are you impotent? You know, you're likely to sort of so what you're really saying is it's not only the audience you're addressing that you have to be flexible in your approach. It's also the subject matter and the way that you present that subject matter, which is appropriate to the subject and the audience. I guess that's really, I think, what you're saying, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, thank you ever so much, Sebastian, for joining us for this. It's been a real pleasure hearing your ideas and your thoughts on this breaking the chain of poverty. I've got 3 other gentlemen I'll be interviewing over the next 2 days, and we'll be putting together a little video of it. It's given us some real insight into how we can address this aspect of getting out of poverty, because I know a lot of people globally, even some that weren't in poverty, have been plunged back into it because of the pandemic. And as we know, it's one of our key values in helping people bridge that gap between poverty, survivability, and then moving on to prosperity. So your input has been extremely valuable. Thank you very, very much for joining us, and I hope we'll meat again soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. But before I go, may I say that there is a scripture in the Holy Book that serves as a guide to my perception and perspective about mindset. And it's crucial to bring it to the fore before I drop this conversation. And it's taken from Proverbs chapter 23, verse 7, which says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. What you think defines you. And that should help in changing the mindset of the people we want to affect in our community. Thank you very much.
Very, very powerful. Thank you very much, Sebastian. And we'll see each other again soon. God bless you. Thanks a lot.